I stared at Marcus across our kitchen table, the words hanging between us like smoke. What if I actually did it? With someone else? The question had slipped out during one of our usual conversations about fantasies. We'd always talked openly about attraction, about the people we noticed. It was safe territory, or so I'd thought. Marcus set down his mug with deliberate care. His dark eyes studied my face with an intensity I hadn't seen in years. If you want it that badly, he said finally, just tell me when. My breath caught. 16 years of marriage, and I'd never heard that tone from him. Not angry, not hurt, something else entirely. I was just talking, I said quickly. He leaned back, arms crossed. Were you? The question hit differently than I expected. David from accounting had been lingering at my desk lately, finding excuses to brush past me. His attention felt warm in ways that surprised me, made me remember what it felt like to be wanted by someone new. Marcus, there's a hotel downtown, he said, cutting me off. The Meridian. I could book us a room for Friday night. Us. Something in his expression suggested otherwise. I watched him pull out his phone, fingers moving across the screen with purpose. What are you doing? Making a reservation. You said you wanted to know what it would feel like. I'm giving you the chance to find out. My heart hammered against my ribs. We'd talk, we'd imagine. We'd go to bed and make love with extra intensity. But we never crossed into reality. You want me to actually do it? He finally met my eyes. I want to see if you'll dare. The hotel key card arrived by messenger the next morning. A simple white rectangle with the Meridian logo, room 412 printed in neat black letters. No note, no explanation, just the card sitting on our doorstep like a dare. I held it up to the light, this small piece of plastic that could change everything. One swipe, and 16 years of fidelity would end. The person I'd always wondered if I could be. Friday arrived with unseasonable rain. I sat in my car outside the Meridian, watching water streak down the windshield. The hotel stretched up into gray clouds, all glass and steel impossibility. My phone buzzed, David's name on the screen. Still on for tonight? I can't stop thinking about what you said. Yesterday's conversation in the copy room felt surreal now. I'd been waiting for documents when he'd appeared behind me. I've been thinking about you, he'd whispered against my ear. Before I could stop myself, I turned around and said, Room 412 at the Meridian, 9 o'clock. Now I stared at his message, thumb hovering over the keyboard. One word would end this. Instead, I typed, see you then. The lobby was all marble and soft lighting, designed to make secrets feel elegant. The hallway stretched endlessly, doors hiding other people's choices. Room 412 was at the end, overlooking the city. The room was beautiful. King bed with white linens, floor-to-ceiling windows, champagne chilling in an ice bucket. Marcus had thought of everything. I walked to the window and pressed my palm against the glass. Down below, people hurried through the rain, carrying umbrellas and good intentions. Normal people living normal lives, not standing in hotel rooms waiting to betray their spouses. 8:30, David would arrive soon, and then there would be no taking any of this back. The thought should have terrified me. Instead, it sent electricity racing under my skin. I opened the champagne, watching bubbles rise to the surface. The first sip burned slightly, but the second went down smooth. 9 o'clock came and went, then 9:15. At 9:20, a soft knock made my pulse spike. I opened the door. David stood in the hallway, hair damp from rain, eyes dark with want. He looked different outside the office, younger somehow, more dangerous. I wasn't sure you'd actually be here, he said. Neither was I. He stepped inside and the door closed behind him with finality. This is beautiful, David said, looking around the room. My husband has good taste. The words slipped out before I could stop them. David's eyebrows rose. He knows? He arranged it. Something shifted in David's expression. Surprise, maybe confusion. But then his gaze traveled down my body and back up. You look incredible, he said, moving closer. I'd chosen the blue dress deliberately, the one Marcus had bought me for our anniversary. The irony wasn't lost on me. David reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away. When I didn't, his fingers found my hair, running through the strands with careful reverence. His touch was different from Marcus's, tentative where my husband was confident. wanted this for months, he whispered. His hand moved to my cheek, thumb tracing my jawline. I leaned into the touch, eyes closing, letting myself feel wanted by someone new. When I opened my eyes, he was studying my face with intensity. Then he leaned in, and his lips found mine. The kiss was soft at first, questioning, but when I responded, it deepened into something hungry and desperate. We moved toward the bed without breaking apart, hands exploring, boundaries dissolving. The city lights painted patterns on the walls as clothes found the floor. When morning light filtered through the windows, I found myself alone. David had left sometime in the early hours, kissing my forehead and whispering about not wanting to complicate things. I lay in the tangled sheets, feeling the weight of what I'd done settle into my bones. A shower washed away David's cologne, but not the memory of his hands. I dressed slowly, delaying the moment when I'd have to face Marcus. The keycard went back in my wallet next to my wedding ring, which I'd removed the night before. The ring slid back onto my finger easily, but it felt foreign now, like jewelry borrowed from someone else's life. The drive home took forever, and no time at all. Our house looked exactly the same, but I was different, marked by another man's touch in ways that felt both thrilling and terrifying. Marcus's car was in the driveway. I found him sitting on the edge of our bed, still fully dressed. He'd been waiting. His hands were clasped between his knees, head tilted down. "How was your evening?" he asked without looking up. The question was so normal, so carefully neutral, that it caught me off guard. I'd prepared for anger, accusations, tears, not this quiet politeness. It was, I started, then stopped. Marcus finally raised his head. His face was calm, almost peaceful, but his eyes held something I'd never seen before. "Did you enjoy yourself?" The way he said it, like asking about a movie, made everything feel wrong. "Marcus, I can explain, no need." He stood slowly. "You did exactly what I expected you to do." Expected. The word hit me like cold water. "What do you mean?" Instead of answering, he walked to his dresser and began pulling out clothes, folding them with mechanical precision. "What are you doing?" "Packing." My heart started hammering. "Marcus, wait. We should talk about this." He paused. "Talk about what? You made your choice. I made mine. But you said I could. I said if you wanted it that badly, just tell me when. I wanted to see if you'd dare." "You did. I didn't." The meaning hit me slowly. The hotel room, the champagne, the careful staging of everything. "This was a test," I whispered. "Yes." And I failed. Marcus zipped the suitcase closed and turned to face me. For the first time since I'd walked in, I saw real emotion in his eyes. Not anger, something deeper, something that looked like grief. 16 years, he said quietly. 16 years I've loved you, trusted you, built a life with you. And all it took was one conversation, one night, one stranger's hands to throw it all away. Tears started burning behind my eyes. I thought you wanted me to. I wanted you to say no. I wanted you to laugh and tell me I was crazy for even suggesting it. I wanted you to choose us. My phone buzzed. Marcus's eyes flicked to it, then back to my face. "David?" he asked. I didn't need to check to know he was right. Marcus picked up his suitcase and walked toward the door. "Where are you going?" "My brother's place, for now." He paused in the doorway. "The message you'll get in a few minutes. I wrote it this morning, before you came home, because I already knew what you'd chosen." The front door closed with a soft click, and then I was alone. The message arrived exactly as he'd predicted. "I wanted to see if you'd dare. You did. I didn't. Goodbye." The house felt enormous without Marcus. Every sound echoed. The coffee maker gurgling, my footsteps on hardwood, the refrigerator cycling on and off. I spent the first day waiting for him to come back. Surely this was just shock, a dramatic gesture that would fade once he'd had time to process. But his absence stretched into the second day, then the third. His coffee mug sat unwashed in the sink. His reading glasses remained on the nightstand. The keycard from the hotel seemed to mock me from my purse. David called twice. I let it go to voicemail both times. Unable to face the sound of his voice, what we'd shared in that hotel room felt like something from another lifetime. Work became a minefield. David found excuses to stop by my desk, his eyes searching my face for signs of what came next. "Are you okay?" he asked Thursday afternoon. I'm fine. You seem distant since the other night. The other night, as if it were casual, instead of the moment that had destroyed my marriage. I finally looked up at him. My husband left me. David's face went pale. Because of us? Because I chose you over him, over 16 years of marriage, over everything we'd built together. He shifted uncomfortably. I thought you said he knew. That he was okay with it. He was testing me to see if I'd actually go through with it. And you blame me for that? I studied his face. Handsome, familiar, but suddenly feeling like a stranger's. Where I'd once seen desire, I now saw a man trying to distance himself from the wreckage. No, I said quietly. I blame myself. That evening, I walked through our house like a ghost visiting her own life. The kitchen where Marcus and I had cooked together. The living room where we'd watched movies. The bedroom where we'd made love and talked about dreams. All of it felt hollow now, drained of meaning. I traded it for one night with a man who was already pulling away. The key card sat on the kitchen counter. Such a small thing to carry such enormous weight. Marcus had planned every detail. He'd given me every opportunity to choose our marriage, and I'd chosen myself instead. I'd chosen poorly. 2 weeks passed before Marcus came for his things. He called first, asking if I'd be home Saturday afternoon. His voice was polite, distant, the tone he'd use with a stranger. Of course, I said. This is still your house, too. I spent Saturday morning cleaning obsessively. When his key turned in the lock, my heart lurched with desperate hope. He looked thinner, older somehow. Behind him stood his brother Jake, who'd always liked me, but now couldn't quite meet my eyes. I'll just be a few minutes, Marcus said, heading straight for the bedroom. I hovered in the doorway while he packed. 16 years of shared life reduced to boxes and suitcases. I've been going to counseling, I said, when the silence became unbearable. Marcus paused in folding a shirt. Good for you. Dr. Morrison says, Claire. He turned to face me, and I saw exhaustion in every line of his face. I don't want to hear what your therapist says. I don't want to hear your explanations or your apologies or your plans to fix this. But if we could just talk, we did talk. For months, we talked about fantasies and desires and what ifs. And when I gave you the chance to choose reality or fantasy, you chose fantasy. You chose a stranger over your husband. The words hit like physical blows. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? I opened my mouth, then closed it. What could I say? That I'd been curious? That I'd wanted to feel young and desired again? All of it sounded pathetic now. Marcus finished packing and picked up his suitcase. At the bedroom door, he stopped. I loved you, Claire. For 16 years, I loved you completely. But love isn't enough when trust is gone. Trust can be rebuilt. Not by me, not anymore. He looked around our bedroom one last time. I'm filing for divorce next week. My lawyer will be in touch. Jake helped him carry boxes to the car while I stood at the window, watching them load up the pieces of our life together. When they drove away, I was truly alone for the first time in 16 years. The house felt different now, not just empty, but abandoned. I walked through rooms that had once held laughter and arguments and lazy Sunday mornings, and all I could feel was the weight of my choices. David had stopped calling after our conversation at work. He transferred to a different department, avoiding the awkwardness of daily interaction with his married mistake. I'd gotten what I thought I wanted, and lost everything that actually mattered. 6 months later, I signed the divorce papers in a lawyer's office that smelled like leather and regret. Marcus wasn't there. His attorney handled everything with efficient politeness. 16 years dissolved into property divisions. I kept the house but sold it 3 months later. Too many ghosts, too many reminders of what I'd destroyed. The new apartment was smaller, anonymous, perfect for starting over. David had moved to Seattle, chasing a promotion that conveniently put 3,000 miles between us. His goodbye email was brief, professional, mentioning nothing about the night that had changed everything. The keycard from the hotel still sits in my jewelry box, a paper monument to the moment I chose desire over devotion. Some mistakes you carry forever, not as punishment, but as reminder of who you never want to be again.